Hello guys, welcome to Honey Badger 3D Print and Paint. I have figured out how to use the video clips button and I will be using that as often as humanly possible. How is everyone? Oh yes, I've just been playing about this for a week. I didn't even know where that was. Jerry from 3DHP has also joined us as well, so that we can have a bit of a chat before we jump in to the sort of the regular stuff and we start doing the giveaway. So the point of the giveaway today, I will drop a link in a minute into the video, into the comments, and it will be a Google document. You guys go in, you fill in your name. If you've got a YouTube tag, you do that. Hey, Mateus, and yeah, you'll fill in that, and then we'll do a random. We'll stick all those names into a random name generator, and then we will get some lovely prizes.
Awesome.
Prizes today. Just
well, congratulations, guys. You made it over 1,000. That's awesome. Everything is uphill from here. It's slowly getting easier and easier. You pick up speed, and when people get on your live streams, they can give you super chats, and it's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There's a lot of new stuff. So obviously we're still trying to sort of get to grips with everything YouTube. We've only really been sort of trying to produce anything half decent since lockdown began in March. Was it, Mike?
Yeah, March, April, we started focusing more on actually trying to grow the channel. Before that, it was something we did sort of every now and again, weren't it? But we invested some money in some better equipment and thought, let's crack on and see if we can actually grow the channel. And
yeah,
been working well so far.
Yeah, before that, all we were really doing was we were making videos that we could send to people because like Facebook Messenger shrinks down all your videos and you can't really see anything.
Yeah,
but yeah. So anyway, so thank you very much, guys, for joining us. Thank you for liking and subscribing. If you are watching and you aren't liked and subscribed, definitely do that and tick that bell so that whenever we come on, shame on you as well for not subscribing. As I say, we'll have a little bit of a chat first. I think we're probably going to have Makers Hub jump in here in a little bit as well, and we'll have a little bit of a chat with them in a project we're involved in called the Global 3D Print Project. It's a really, really good project, so we'll have a little bit of a chat about that in a bit. But first of all, Jerry, what have you guys what have you got on at the moment? I know you always have like 15 projects on the go at any one time.
Yeah, right now I'm printing a head by Photo Cement. It's a skull with like flames and it's got horns. And I'm printing that in a yellow PLA behind me. It'll probably take all week to get done. And I've done a couple more Bernies. I'm working on some chairs. Above my resin printers, I'm going to put a shelf up today after your stream is over and put a lot of supplies and stuff because I don't know. I'm constantly don't have no room and I can't move around. I even go out my back door where I added on to my patio. And I go to open the door, my Ghostbuster card at 250% is sitting there unfinished, and it's kind of blocking the door, and I'm fat, and I can't get out the door very well, so I need to make more room. Yeah, there's always something going on. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's always something. And then I didn't have my live stream last night, and I drank a Monster during the stream. I couldn't sleep all night. I was up and down, so I'm kind of right now. So, but it's all good.
So you just got you had some stuff with T-Tek recently, didn't you? You've got you had some stuff on your live stream and things like that. Are you?
Yeah. Last night the real Sam Prentice was on, and then Mr. Bagley came in. That was awesome, and we gave away 3 rolls of filament. And then EM3D Marcus he gave away a couple apps to his scanner program for iPhone.
Yeah,
10,
I remember
iPhone 10 or above, and that was really cool. So those went out worldwide, and then the T-Tek obviously was just in the U.S. But yeah, and I'm going to be doing a live stream also here coming up in maybe a month or so, maybe sooner. I'm at like 2,100 subs. When I get to 2,500, I've contacted like 10 or 15 companies. Hopefully, I can get some models and some products and have another live giveaway similar to what you guys are doing here coming up. But today is your day. It's all about you guys, not me. But
no, that's true. That's true. But yeah, I was really impressed actually. Bearing in mind the size of our channel, we're not the biggest. You're bigger than we are as well anyway. But bearing in mind that there's channels out there that are 100,000 people and all of that sort of stuff. I was really surprised at how many companies were actually keen to work with smaller channels. I was always sort of told that it was you need like 5,000-6,000 people and all of this. But yeah, I've been really, really impressed.
Typically on printers, most companies want 10,000 or above. It's harder to get stuff lower. Some people get lucky. I message so many companies about so many different products, and they usually want me to review resin, PLA, or something like that, or some minor little products like the light or the resin bats. But it's really, I've done 2 printers. TiVo last year sent me one from China, and then Corality sent me the Ender 3 V2. But I've done 2 out of all these years, and it's really hard to get companies to give smaller channels anything. And even though on Facebook I've got over 5,000 subs, that still doesn't matter to them. So
true, but I do think it means that the likes of us, when we're smaller channels, I feel like you get a more honest review of whatever it is that you've bought because
we're buying it as well. So
exactly,
all our printer reviews we've done, we haven't been given any of them.
Yeah.
There's only one. Sorry, we were given the longer, longer LK4. That was one they gave us. But again, that's not we'll give it to you and you have to give us a positive review. They just sent us a machine.
I've never had nobody ask for you got to do this, you got to do that. They send it and they know I'm going to review it how I review it.
Yeah.
So,
but it's always good when you see the smaller channels reviewing because I don't know. I do sometimes feel like, especially with some of the bigger stuff. Like when Joel did that $38,000 huge machine.
Yeah.
You've got to think for $40,000, they've either got to be so confident their machine is amazing, or there's got to be some sort of expectation that you're going to give it a positive review at the end.
That's the loaner that he got. He doesn't get to keep it. He's on they're letting him borrow it for so long. But it's had plenty of problems. He's had plenty of problems with it. And
he broke the glass on day one, didn't he?
Yeah.
Get it out of the box.
By looking at the machine, I don't see that much money sitting there. I see a couple grand maybe. But technically, you break down all the parts, but to build it yourself, maybe a little more than that. But I don't see 40 grand. But of course, there's labor and time and everything you have to factor into all that.
You presume that with a printer of like 40 grand, usually there would be some sort of service agreement with it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a Stratasys or something like that. Like 100% the Stratasys are ridiculously expensive. You buy them on a service contract anyway, so it's not just the initial cost, it's the everything else.
Some channels that do reviews, including smaller channels, sometimes they're sent out machines and they have to it's like computer components. You review it and you have to pass it on to the next person or return it. So not everybody gets to keep the machines. Most people do on 3D printers, but not everybody gets to keep them. And then some people suggest to me, well, why don't you go on Amazon, buy it, review it, pack it up, send it back? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to review it and then mail it back. I'm not going to go that route. But
it's a dishonest way to do a printer review anyway, I would say, because when that return goes back, the company they can't sell it again at full price. You have used it.
Well, they can't. They have to auction it off or go to an Amazon return center or something like that. They can't put it back on the shelf. Yeah. My son used to work for Amazon. My ex-wife works for Amazon. And technically when things come back, they go in different bins and they get sold off in lots or pallets or to different companies, or there's an auction house here in Vegas called Nellis Auction, and Amazon deals with them directly, and anything comes back, it goes to them. So.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, but what's bad about bidding on stuff at an auction house is everybody thinks it's, people go nuts when they're bidding and they bid the price way up and it gets too high. It's like, wow, if I can't buy something used for less than half price, I'd rather buy it new. So, I mean, if it's $400, I won't pay over 150, 160, because if I have to go to 200 or above, it's not really a good deal to me. And then you never know what you're buying that way either. I mean, I bought a used Ender 3 one time, and every single screw was missing out of it. On the motherboard, on the frame, every single screw was missing. So somebody bought it, stripped it, sent it back to Amazon. A lot of times, Are you froze, James?
Yeah, it looks like he's froze. Yeah.
So now who's having the internet trouble, James?
Yeah, I feel like it was probably him to start with.
Okay. He'll probably have to pop out and pop himself back in.
But we've bought a couple of used printers before, and it is hit and miss.
Yeah,
it is hit and miss.
Hey, there he is.
Sorry about that. I think I kicked my Ethernet cable out of my computer.
Yeah, you're being really still while I was talking. I was waiting for you to say something or nod. You didn't. So
right. So projects that we've got on the go. So, Mike, what have you got on the go at the moment? Because you've just finished up one, and then you've got other stuff as well. So, show us what you've got.
Just finished today. Just finished painting. Davy Jones.
Wow.
So, talk us through some of the stuff you did on this, because when you started showing me pictures, I didn't really understand.
So, what I've basically done with this, it's just printed in 5 pieces. So, the torso, let me get it. The torso is 1 piece. The head with all the tentacles is 1 piece. The hat is 1 piece, and then you've got the pipe, and you've got some keys behind it.
Make it big.
I actually thought it was going to be bigger, to be honest. When I was looking at it, when I was slicing it, I actually thought it was going to be bigger. So what I've basically done is, once I've painted this, I wanted it to look wet, because their ship is it their ship that goes under the water, isn't it? And so I went over this with gloss varnish. Like, I've got a spray can of gloss varnish, so it looks wet. I wanted to add seaweed and all. So this is actually the same moss that I used on the big tree beard. But what I actually done is, once I stuck it on there, I then went over it with a gloss varnish. So it looks wetter and darker than it usually does. But
how long did it take you to paint that about?
So we were talking about this earlier. I reckon it was probably about 13 hours.
Okay.
Give or take. I reckon about 13 hours. It was a long time to print, because I did this on a 0.12 layout. And James is the same. We've recently started switching over to Cura from Simplify. And what I've noticed is, on the same sort of profile, is 0 layer lines, just switching from Simplify to Cura. One, you've got the tree supports, which means you are drastically cutting down. You're drastically cutting down the amount of filament you're using when you're doing something with a lot of supports. Before I did this, I sliced the head part, because it had to be printed upside down, so the tentacles went up.
Yeah.
I sliced it in Simplify, and it was like 86 hours in Simplify. I sliced it in Cura, printed it in Cura, and it printed in 48 hours.
Wow, that's shocking.
Yeah.
The difference
because just the amount of supports with them tree supports, they're so quick. So quick. The other week I actually finished this. So this was done on Simplify, but you can see, if I get it in there,
James, you know how to make him big?
Some layer lines.
Am I going to make him big?
No, do you know how to make him? You know how to make him?
Oh, right, sorry. Yeah.
Just drag him, use your mouse, drag him to where you are. And then there's a bar down below, right below me, about 3/4. There you go.
Right, so this was done on 1.2. And you can see there are some layer lines in the face. Whereas on the Davy Jones,
Johnny looks good.
Just on Cura, it's so clean. There's no layer lines, no nothing.
Yeah. I've had a lot of prints.
Cura for a good couple of years now. Simplify for a good couple of years now, but I think I might just switch over to Cura permanently. It's with tree supports. It's quicker to print. You use a third less filament on a big print, and the quality seems vastly different. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm gradually making the switch over to Cura as well. I really sort of begrudged doing it for 2 main reasons. One, I've worked really hard on my Simplify profile, refining stuff and changing settings so that I finally got decent prints. But 2, I paid for Simplify.
Yeah.
So if I've paid for it, then I want to use it. But I'm going to be honest, the new version, we're using the latest version of Cura, which is what, 4.8 or whatever it is, 4.18 or whatever. And I'm blown away by the difference in results. I know that we've switched from a 0.2 layer height down to a 1.2 or in some cases a 1.6. But even if you print at a 2 layer height, the quality difference is just. I always thought that G code was G code. That if you are printing something at 60 millimeters a second and you get your print settings the same in Simplifier as you get them in Cura, that fundamentally they're producing the same end result. But I'm going to be honest and say that the stuff we're getting in Cura at the moment is just better.
Here's the Jason I did by Pot de Cement. And it's very, like I say, it's very hard to see layer lines. A lot of people ask me, or they have, and the same with you.
Especially in silk filament and all.
They say, what do you do about layer lines? Well, a lot of times I don't have layer line problems. I mean, on the back where it's really smooth, you can see them. Where it's really smooth, you can notice them. But on most of the texture in the print, you can't even see them. So,
yeah, it's and as I say, I mean, I was really reluctant to do the switch to begin with. I really, really was. But again, I was doing so at the moment. The project I'm working on,
I think really done it for you as well. It was only like a week and a half ago that I told you could snap a side of a model onto the build plate in Simplify, and that.
So this, I was angry for days about this.
Yeah.
I have spent
continuously
so many hours tweaking a model in Simplify by degrees, you know, to get it flat on the bed and to change the surface and everything
and then the
else.
Program locks up is what you're going to say, I bet.
No, you just press Control L and you select a surface and it just snaps to the bed anyway.
Yeah, I remember we were on a stream and someone told you that. Now, I've had certain designers where I've got models from, when I drop them on the build plate, they're just barely not flat. So I sit there and double click on. I'm spending a lot of time trying to get it close, and I look at it and I zoom in, and then I usually drop it through the bed and cut it off.
Like 1 mil below the bed to get it flat.
Yeah. To get it perfectly flat. And it turns out,
hey, what's going on, Maker Hub? How you doing?
Maker Hub, hi Daniel.
How you guys doing?
So you said Control L.
So literally press Control L, and it's exactly, and it's the snap to bed. It's the snap to bed thing. Yep. Control L. You click a surface, and it just snaps that to the build.
And he was so angry.
Why? So honestly, if I ever meet the dev who was designing the UI for Simplify and didn't think, oh, that's worthy of a button, I'm going to kick him in the dick. I've spent hours of my life. I've not seen friends because I have been sitting there trying to adjust a model through like 0.3 of a degree to get it perfect.
What about in Simplify? And this has happened to me on both my computers. You work with it for a while and you're zooming in, zooming out, and then all of a sudden half your bed and model disappears.
Yeah.
That's like, what do? You got to restart over.
Yeah.
So you should just be able to press down on your the middle click wheel. If you just press down, it recenters the it's supposed to, I think. It just recenters it back on the model.
Yeah. Well, what I did, once I get a lot of support and get so far in it, when I remember to, I'll go up and save it, and then I'll keep working with it. So if I lose it, I can pull it back in. But
yeah, the only thing that Cura is annoying me with at the moment is so you can only add your supports when you slice. The act of clicking slice is what adds all the supports in. And if you do that with Simplify 3D, you don't generate the supports before you slice. Simplify tends to take quite a long time to slice your model. And I've noticed that when I'm doing bigger models with more supports, Cura is actually taking a decent amount of time to slice. Like it can take.
The head on that Davy Jones took over an hour to slice.
Wow.
Because it's huge. I mean, it's sitting it's sitting a good sort of 300 mil. And it is so many supports going up. But I feel like that's because you can't add your supports before you slice. So it's doing sort of support generation and layer generation at the same time as it goes up. But yeah, so I'm printing everything that I'm printing at the moment. I'm printing everything with Cura, and I'm getting materially better results. Andrew, you were just saying that that Idea Maker is actually even better than Cura. And I was always so reluctant to switch just because I paid for it.
Yeah.
So it didn't. People were always saying Idea Maker, that Slicer is even better. The
Idea Maker is Cura, I believe. Idea Maker Cura.
What, it's a Cura branch, is it, or a branch of Cura?
I think I'm not into Cura, but I think it is. If anybody in chat might know, do you know, Daniel?
To be truly honest, I've been messing around with Creality Slicer.
Yeah, which is Cura. Yeah.
Right. But in the Creality Slicer, if you right-click on the image, you actually have an option to split the image into multiple parts. Last night, I tried to use it to its biggest test, and I upscaled a model really, really, really tall and hit that right button and split model. Yeah, let's say 4 hours later, it was finally done.
Wow.
Yeah.
But what? So it was actually cutting the model for you, though?
Yeah, no. So it cuts it down into cubes, kind of like the Luban software.
Okay.
It'll actually cut it up so you can print multiple pieces instead of trying to print it all at once. On Cura, they added in 2 features. It's actually under the marketplace. There's the create your own supports. They have it to where you can actually click on the model and create your own generate supports. They have it in squares and they have it in cylinders now.
Right.
It's all under the marketplace. It's really nice. Few other slicers have been popping up out of nowhere. I throw them on my website, and every once in a while I'll get time to use them and whatnot.
I've tried the Lowsbot one when I had a Lowsbot. It's fine. It's just a rebranded branch of Cura.
Somebody in the chat had a good comment. If you got a slow PC, it's going to take forever. It depends what you're trying to process with also.
Yeah, so I'm not,
Both of PCs are pretty good.
I mean, mine's a 9700K, so it's not
Should be
bad.
fine. Yeah.
So I shouldn't be CPU bottlenecked. But, again, it could be. If I had an i9 or something like that, then maybe it would. But Intel don't sponsor any of our videos, so I'm not. If AMD decide they want to sponsor us, then I'll absolutely build a Threadripper PC. That won't bother me at all. But before we crack on, models that I'm doing. So I have just finished up the first part of my Hulkbuster. So this here is my beaten up and battle damaged Iron Man. I did him a bit too glossy, so I'm waiting for a matte spray to come, like a matte veneer that I can just hit it with to just take he looks a bit candy at the moment.
Did you paint that in pieces and glue it together? Or did you paint it in one piece like that?
No, I painted it in one piece.
Okay, what's your process? You go outside, you prime it with rattle can, and where do you start at first?
So I rattle can it outside. I have rattle canned inside before, but then I black out for like an hour. I feel super rested, but it's
I do it all indoors.
But I don't have a large office. Oh yeah, put myself in big. Hold on. So
actually, we was having a conversation earlier, me and James, where I was choking on the varnish spray.
Yeah, when I paint outside and I bring it in the house in the other room, I can still smell it. And I got to turn on my air purifier. But yeah.
So yeah, so it came out really nice. The model came out really, really nice. So that's about 470 tall. This is the base.
Wow.
For the Hulkbuster. So the Hulkbuster goes sort of here in this big area here. And then there's 2 options for the Hulkbuster. I can either stand that model in front, or the Iron Man comes off of that base, and you can mount him in the Hulkbuster like he's jumping out of it.
What is that? 150%, 200%?
Oh, do you know what? It's actually 100%, and it really pained me to do something 100%. I normally scale up all of my models. So the infill is actually 5%, so that I've got some hope in hell of ever A, finishing it, and B, of that has taken, I think, about a week to print the whole base, and that's running it on 4 machines.
Well, since you speed paint,
like always on that, it's about 5%, isn't it?
Yeah, the infill's 5%. Yeah, for the most part. So on him, he's actually 8%. I don't really know why I change it for bases versus models.
Do you have somebody trying to pop in? I keep hearing a beep sound.
I don't think so.
Okay.
There's no one in the. There's no one in the thing.
Okay, must be my imagination. Because I've left people in the green room before for like 20 minutes, and I had too many people, and I didn't see them. Right. So when you paint your model, I know you like to speed paint, where I take days and days. Do you paint one part, and then when it dries, you tape it off, paint the next part when you're airbrushing, or you just get really close and go back and touch it up with a brush if you get overspray on the first part?
So what I tend to do is I go over and I go over the whole model, do primary colors first. As one color is drying, I tend to be painting the second color, which, just to be clear, you absolutely should not do.
I've never
because all it means is
I've never known anyone who paints as fast as he does.
Yeah. So that Iron Man is about an hour's paint job.
Okay, let's say you're painting the red, and now it's time to do the gold that connects to it. Are you just going to airbrush up to it real close? Are you going to tape off the red?
Nope. So I haven't airbrushed that one. That one as so to get that looking like that, I had to. So I did airbrush a base coat of Vallejo's chrome, and then going over the top is this stuff. So it's a I want to say Tamiya, which is probably wrong, but it's there we go. It's this stuff here.
Tamiya.
Yeah. And basically it's like an ink wash almost. So it goes on like a cherry glaze over the top. You use a lot of it. So these aren't expensive. These are like £1.20 for a pot, but I've used a pot and a half to do him, and the Hulkbuster is 3 times the size.
So you're brushing that over the red to give it a depth to it. Okay, I have that same color, but I've never tried it. I would have painted the red and then hit it with a high gloss, not knowing that I could have pulled more out of it.
So I don't paint a red at all. I paint the whole thing chrome, and then I just hit it with this over the top. So that cherry red, there's no red paint on that at all. It's just this stuff.
Okay.
So an airbrush is absolutely. So hold on, let me just highlight.
What would take me a day's worth of painting, James has done in an hour.
Yeah. Well, the reason I'm asking is because I want to know, and everybody in chat may not know this, and they'd love to hear it too. That's why this is all about.
No, that's true. Yeah. So when it comes to doing the lines in between, I just tend to do that with a paintbrush. It really depends on what I'm painting. If I want blending, then I will airbrush. If I don't want to create those hard lines, but if I want hard lines between things, generally speaking, I'm hand painting that.
I only airbrush large areas. Any large area, I'll airbrush, but when it comes to detail, I'll do all my detail with brushes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I like painting with a brush.
So technically speaking, airbrushing is quicker. I wouldn't say either is easier than the other. If you're a good painter by hand, then you may very well struggle to use an airbrush because it's a different technique and it's a different skill set, and the same vice versa.
And let's say you're painting skin, you're using a brush. You don't want brush marks where if you airbrush, it's going to go on perfect as long as you don't get it too close and make it run. It'll spray on perfect. Where you have to work at it with a brush.
Richard, this one's X-27. I don't know if you can see that in there.
Yeah, I have that in red and in yellow.
Yeah. So the X-27 in the red.
They sell on Amazon.
Gypsy Danger, because in the movie is dark.
I think they're like $5 or $6 US on Amazon.
It's, as I say, I mean, because of the size of a lot of our models, airbrushing is something that we use a lot of. So if I go to this one, which I really hope I don't drop while I'm live on YouTube.
Mysterio?
Suck. Mysterio was quite a lot of that was airbrushed, but again, that was because that was a lot of the same color. So if I go to this, when I'm doing something like this, because of the details and everything else, that ends up getting that's pretty much all airbrush work. Because I want the blended colors. It's a large surface.
Same with my tree beard. Like you could never have attempted to paint that with a brush. Actually, I've got it on the desk here, so like I can't even get it all into.
Can't even get it all in the picture frame.
Yeah, it's ridiculously big. Like you could never have attempted to do it with a brush, and two, you couldn't have had that. I couldn't have bought that much paint because airbrushing takes a lot less paint.
Yeah.
And doing that with a brush, I'd have needed about 20 tubs of Vallejo of like, I think it was a Beastie Brown or something. I'd have needed like 20 tubs of that in order to do that. Whereas airbrushing, you can cover that with an airbrush in like 25 minutes.
I'm working on this little guy here, and because I'm using airbrush paint on the hair, I'm using a brush on it. It's coming out green. If I would have airbrushed it on, it would have came out yellow. But it's hard to work with airbrush paint when you're hand painting it on. It doesn't have the same effect. But if you was to spray that, it would have been the right color.
So just before we go any further, guys, right, I have just popped a Google Docs link in the comments section. If you open that up, you put in your name and where you're from, and if you've got a YouTube tag, just so we can pick you out in the comments, then that'll be what we use in a little bit to start the draw. So just to remind everybody, we've got a £100 voucher at the moment from 3D Filaprint, which is one of the UK filament suppliers. You can use that to buy whatever you want there. A filament, they've actually got a small model section as well that you can buy STLs from.
Resin.
And they've got eSun resin as well. So if you're looking to get some resin, they're a good one to go for. The second prize is a free model with Sanix. So that's everything except for you can't edit. Okay, why is that?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with this doc. Usually you create a doc and it's got a couple lines where it asks you questions, and then when you compile it to draw, this is usually on your side. But I've only used that one time yesterday with the wheel and stuff.
Yeah, I've never used it. So I just assumed you could create one and it would let you.
Yeah, this is just something he invented earlier.
Yeah. Oh, that's why. Never mind. Hold on. I'm just updating it now. There we go. Everyone should have permission now. You should be able to go on and it should be able to edit. Try again, guys. Sorry, my fault. I just gave you all view permission so you could see how many people weren't writing, which is really professional. This is the sort of stuff that this channel does. This level of professionalism is what you should expect from all of our videos, frankly. Yeah. So yeah, as we said, airbrushing is just it's a different technique, and it covers different areas. It produces very different results, as you said, Jerry. The brushwork is very different to if the finish that you get with airbrushing. I can blend way easier with airbrushing than I ever could. Say I have to have an app to fill it in. You shouldn't do. It's just a Google Doc. It should just open on your thing.
Just nobody else try to pick the same numbers because you can edit.
Yeah, I'm editing number 1.
So drop down to like 34 or 44. Don't all try to use 1, 2, 3.
It's almost like we don't know what we're doing sometimes on this channel, and it may appear that
a little bit,
but that's only because that's really
from the untrained eye.
Yeah, from the untrained eye. It's really just more on brand for us.
As you guys fill that out, so that big piece next to you, Michael, how long did it take you to print?
What, the tree beard?
Yeah.
It was a good couple of weeks, wasn't it?
I think it was about 3 weeks worth of printing.
Yeah.
Again, this was prior to us, ironically, not finding tree supports yet.
Yeah.
For a tree beard.
And the problem with that is because of the way it is, it's very sort of organic like a tree. You can imagine how many supports there were on each piece, because there was one, like the base was made up of like 6 pieces, I think. And then the actual tree beard itself was 11 pieces to the body, and then there was about 10 pieces, which is all the branches on his back. And because obviously the way branches are, to print the branch on its own, probably 2-3 hours. To print it with all the supports, 20 hours. It's like, So it took a long time, but it was mainly just due to supports. Like it was, had I bothered looking and trying cure earlier, I'd say I'd have cut at least a week off of that.
Minimum. And a lot of filament
at least a kilo of filament.
I took care of it.
That led to my next question. So how much filament was it?
I think it was about 7 kilo.
Okay. Not too bad. Not too bad.
I think it was about 7. That also may be a complete and utter guess as well. Or just a number I've just picked. Yeah.
James.
I don't actually really remember.
So with the fillet,
10 kilos in. I know I ordered 10 kilos in. I had some left, so I'm punting for around 7.
So with the Vallejo primer, I don't thin mine, but I also turn the pressure up on my airbrush because I'm just priming. So I'm normally, my airbrush is normally around 10 to 13 psi whenever I'm painting normally. I go up to just over 20 when I'm priming. So because of that, it tends to go a bit quicker, and I use a crazy amount of paint. So I don't thin my primer personally. I'm 99% sure you're probably supposed to. But because I turn the pressure up so much, it doesn't. It's not something that I've needed to do.
I generally put a couple of drops of airbrush thinner into everything I use. Just some flow improve or something. I generally put it in everything I use in the airbrush.
You can thin and clean with clear Windex also.
Which is funny. I was also watching My Big Fat Greek Wedding too earlier. And he was repairing his broken hip with Windex.
One thing I will say I don't know the difference of is I don't know what the difference between airbrush flow improver and airbrush thinner is. I know they come in.
Yeah. So thinner does exactly what it says, thins it, but flow improver just gets it to flow out the needle cleaner. So you're less likely, as far as I know, you're less likely to get any little blockages or little dry bits.
Hey, James, sorry to interrupt. James,
right.
if you go to YouTube and there's this guy named Michael from this channel called Honey Badger that has videos on that, he can explain how to use that product.
Very good idea. Yeah. So what I will say is that before I started 3D printing, I didn't paint anything. And I probably didn't start painting for.
I even had to paint your house.
Yes, yeah, Mike even had to come around and paint my house because I wasn't going to do that. But I think it was probably about a year of me printing things before I actually started painting anything. I just refused. I'd got it into my head that it was going to be so hard and such a difficult journey to learn that I was going to just ruin the prints that I had. So I was just trying a lot of like G-code things to try and, like if you were doing a Superman, so that I do physical filament changes to get the blue, to get the yellow, to get the red. And in my mind, I was like, if I can just perfect that, it will look really good.
That's what I used to do. I'd trip the filament sensor and then I'd change the color and start back up.
Yeah, and it always looked like a garbage fire every time I did it. It was never the right colors. It never blended properly. I'd never started it in the right place. It was an absolute mess. So Mike actually taught me how to paint, and then it just sort of went on from there. But I've said multiple times on the channel, I don't like painting. I find it boring. The main reason why I speed paint is because it's an unpleasant activity for me that I'd like to get to the end of.
Biggest problem I've had with airbrushing is a clogging nozzle, and things that clog on me used to happen quite a bit. You know, you're starting to paint something, then it clogs and it's spitting. And then I started using a spray gun cleaner, which is oil based, to clean out my parts, to clean out the nozzles. You get paint in the nooks and crannies, and
What I have noticed, so I've got 2 Iwata airbrushes. They're quite expensive, but James had a Green Stuff World airbrush,
Yeah.
And I've done an order a couple of months ago, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to grab a couple of their airbrushes, because where the Iwata ones are like £100, £89, £100, something like that, the Green Stuff World ones are like £22. And I ordered the 0.5 and the 0.2, and they leave the Iwata ones standing. I've actually yesterday ordered the 0.3 as well. They leave the Iwata ones standing. I really like them. I get hardly any clogging on them whatsoever. I've had one clog on them over the course of 3 models. I've had one on one of them, and it took me about 10 minutes, and it was gone, and it's not been back. James's compressor is actually crap as well. No.
Well, one thing about
Andrew, mine is also crap. So I bought Mike his first compressor. I mean, I'm an incredibly flash person, and I sometimes just buy people compressors, apparently.
He bought himself an airbrush kit, then decided he wouldn't be able to use it and gave it to me.
Yeah, that is what happened.
if you're painting in the garage, a lot of people don't know. They think they need a small compressor. No, you can use any compressor on the planet as long as you have a regulator on it to crank down the temperature and a water trap and the right fitting to put a gun on it. You can use any compressor.
So this is the compressor that I use. It was really good. I really liked this compressor. The problem that I have, so this is like 100 and something odd pound off of Amazon, and it's got the moisture trap, and it's got the pressure gauge and everything else. I thought it was going to be really good. This suffers really badly from overheating. So this top piece here and at the back where the actual motor is gets so hot you can't physically touch it. So it fills up the bottom tank, the bottom reservoir, and then as it's going down, it doesn't kick in anymore. It waits until the whole thing is empty.
Wow.
Then it starts to fill it up. It'll only fill the tank probably 3 times, and then you have to literally leave it alone for half an hour before it will cool down enough. There's a couple of people who have printed fan things for them. So they've got things like this. They've got just PC fans that they've wired in, and they've 3D printed brackets for it that sit on the top and sit on the back. And then when they're running, they apparently provide enough air to mean that they can. It keeps the whole thing cool. Does feel like if it's getting that hot, there's a bigger issue with it.
I don't have a tank with mine, and it seems to work fine. Of course, it runs all the time when you're painting, but I've never had any surging or anything that some people have talked about. Now, if I could have done it all over, would I have got a tank? Yes, but I didn't, so I'll use what I got till it dies, then I'll buy something better. And I do have an Iwata airbrush. I only have the one needle. I had Omar Baez on a few weeks ago, and he's doing some amazing painting. And he said he changes out different size needles for different applications. I don't know anything about doing that. I've never researched it or learned about it.
So we do and we don't. So generally speaking, we use a 0.3 needle. And it's just exactly the same as if you were using different nozzles on your printer. If you go down to a 0.2 nozzle, then you can do much finer work. And a 0.5 needle and nozzle means that you can, paint a much wider area.
Okay.
Generally speaking, much like with a 0.4 nozzle, 0.4 nozzle prints pretty much all the way down to about 0.12. That's as low as I've ever needed to go, so I've never changed my nozzle. It's the same with an airbrush needle. I paint everything with a 0.3, and I be honest, I haven't really found a need. I've never been painting minis. So it's never really been that much of an issue for me. But you are right, Jerry. You don't need a tabletop one like that. You can use one of the big painting compressors if you want, providing that you can turn down the PSI.
Yeah.
Then anything works. They're all standardized fittings, so it's not an issue, really. Just have a look and see how we're doing.
I don't know if you want to put the link up again, just in case anyone who's on here now has missed it.
You can pin it. When you put it on YouTube, click the 3 dots and you can pin it to the top.
What are we talking about? There we go. So how are we doing on this?
Yeah, if you post it through YouTube and not posting it through StreamYard, once it's there, just click on the 3 dots on the right side. That's how you make somebody a mod or something, or you ban them or kick them out. You can hit pin to top, and it'll post it at the very top of your chat at all times.
Oh, okay, I get you. 1 second.
So behind you. That piece. That thing is massive. Yeah.
That.
Batman Sanity, yeah. I'll respect STLs.
Yeah, no, that's genuinely huge.
Hey, James, make Michael big so people can check out Batman Sanity.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, that's me. Brilliant.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have that printed at like 65%, but I'll say, like my wife will tell you, I don't ever paint much, but I have that done, but I've never painted it.
It's hell.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable.
Like, how do you get in there and not hit other people?
Right, so I printed the base.
Okay.
I then painted the base. All the characters are printed individually. So I'd paint a character, add him to the base. But like say you spend 6 or 7 hours painting a character, like for a model. Well, there's like 13 of them on there. Like it wasn't. I usually enjoy painting. That wasn't enjoyable. Didn't like it.
In the day, knock that out in an afternoon.
Oh, it wasn't enjoyable. It become like this sort of weight around my neck. It was like the first part. It was like this is never going to finish printing ever, because that base has got something like 33 pieces to it.
Yeah,
and some of the pieces are like 40 hours to print. And it just never feels like it's coming to an end when you're printing it.
Is that at 100%?
I realised that was the easy part. When you started painting, the stress levels weren't even higher. It's just like I've spent 2 days painting, and doesn't really look like I've done anything. It's such a big involved model.
What scale?
Some of the enjoyment out for me.
What scale?
That's just 100%.
Okay. Yeah, I printed my base in 4 pieces on my CR10. That's why I went down like 65%. And then I had an Elegoo Mars at the time, and I asked on the special STL group, how big could I make what character to fit? So that's why I went to like 65%. I resin printed everything other than Clay. I think it's Clayman and the base. Those are FDM.
Yeah, Clay's big. He's a big print. Clay and Bane. Bane's a pretty big print as well.
Do you have the clear helmet for Mr. Freeze, or did you leave it off?
I left it off just because I couldn't be bothered trying to get my photon to work.
Okay.
That's it. Just couldn't be bothered.
There was a guy who, so we did, like that did take Mike a relatively long time to finish because it took ages to paint.
To print that was easily 3 months. And I did it on and off. I didn't do it continuously. I did some. Then I went on to other things. And in between, I moved house. So I wasn't printing for like maybe 3 months where I was packing up my house and then setting up a new workshop. And then I'd do something else, then go back and hit it for another couple of weeks, then leave it and go do something else. So it probably took me about 8 months to print. But if I was to start front to back, it was easily 3 months worth of printing.
Yeah, it was a long time. And then I think what was more annoying was about 3 weeks after Mike finished his, there was another guy who did his one. And it was hands down the most stunning print and paint job I had ever seen. It looked exactly like, the XM Studio statues.
So he did it all in resin. He did it all in resin. But his paint job was... it was
unreal.
So someone does a model that you see pop up every now and again. Someone does one, and you're like, well, there's no point me ever printing that because that paint job is far superior to whatever anyone else is ever going to do on that model.
I've seen renders that were prints.
Gambody's Balrog. There's a guy, I think he was from Taiwan or something, wasn't he? And he painted the Balrog. But what he actually done, it looked like he'd painted it in clear PETG and he'd lit it and all the flames were going on the stomach and the paint job was out of this world. I love Lord of the Rings. It's my favourite film series ever. If something comes up with Lord of the Rings, I want to print it. As soon as I see his bulwark, I was like, not bothering to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's just not going to be anywhere near as good.
Yeah. It was the best part was, so Scarecrow has got these like needles on his fingers. He'd done them in resin, and then he'd used an actual syringe to put coloured resin inside of the syringes, so that when you moved the model backwards and forwards, the liquid that was in the fingers actually still moved. Wow. Like it was insane. He'd done it absolutely ridiculous, and it made both of us really feel like pieces of crap. I'm sure that wasn't his overall. That wasn't his aim.
I just felt like throwing mine on the floor.
Yeah,
just
really awful. Just smash.
But if I was to throw that on the floor, I could damage the footings of my house.
I've seen people post. I forget the word now. Renders that they said they printed, and I swear up and down that you didn't paint that. That's a render. And they go, no, that's painted. And I said, no, that's a render. But yeah, some things it's really hard to tell. They look so perfect. And I think it's Beep Medina. He just done a model of Catwoman where she's got her mouth open, her tongue is out. That looks so real. That is amazing. That looks so perfect in the photos.
I mean, it is the difference between resin and you know, a regular FDM. You can make a really good, a really stunning FDM print and do a really amazing paint job, but the surface finish that you get on a resin printer, it's just so hard to beat. Like, so you did the what was it you did the other day, Jerry? Was it the Popeye? Was it a Popeye that you did? Yeah, stunning.
It's in resin. It's not primed or anything. It's just resin.
Yeah, and I mean with zero. I mean, not with zero work. You know what I mean? Though with zero after prep work at the moment.
Yeah,
it's. I mean, it's just it blows what you could do with FDM for that. You could do a really good model in FDM. I'm not debating that, but that, you know, it just looks better.
Resin. So, this is a strange comparison, but resin sand. Let's see. When I sand a resin print, I use those fingernail files. They're flat. These things here that are flexible.
Yeah. Balls, we call them.
This is a kind of an odd comparison, but if you ever have to sand your heels on your foot.
Yeah,
that's how easy resin sands with one of these. It's just instantly you can take anything right off. It's white, powdery, and you can sand anything down instantly that quick.
Yeah.
So, Flamago, you just said, what's the biggest model you've done? It's easily my wall rig truck.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the video we've got on that, but that's like 7 foot long.
Yeah.
And it's just begging to leave my workshop.
Yeah,
we just leave
a lot of
some stuff there.
we have a print shop that's close to us, 3D Filler Print, one of the sponsors of this video, I might add, and I have filled his shop with stuff that I cannot fit here. So you guys have probably seen my giant spaceship, the Terran battle cruiser. Yeah, that was never going to fit in my house. Just didn't. As it was, it took two of us just to get it out of the door of my office. So the scale of the war rig, so it's 7 foot long, but if I remember rightly, the actual scale is 1:16.
And I think I scaled out to 170%.
Yeah, sorry. So the one that Mike finished, when Mike's part was done, it's 1:16 scale. I'm pretty sure that on Gambody it's 1:24. Or 1:28 scale if you do it the original size, but we scaled it up because, you know, we hate ourselves. So yeah, it ended up 7 foot long, and it takes up the entire. I mean, it's a good thing Mike converted his garage into a workshop because it spans the whole wall of his garage. It really takes up a lot of space. Right, so without further ado, I am going to download the document as it stands, and we will do the first top prize we'll do the first draw of the prizes. So we've got a decent number of entries. We've got about 30 odd entries in there, which is quite good. So I will stick those names into a random name generator, and we will see if we can, he said, from the site. Talk amongst yourselves while I find it.
If you wanted to, you can use a wheel of names, and you can share your screen. Just drop them in that, and you can just spin it. And then when it spins, and it goes, yay!
How does it go?
Okay.
Well, it's like Joel used it. I used it yesterday, the wheel of names.
1 second.
And what is this a prize for, this one?
So this will be the top prize. So this is the £100 voucher with 3D filer print. It lets you buy anything in their store up to the value of £100. Yeah, I mean, those guys have supported us just so long.
Their list of stock is crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, they've
got thousands and thousands of rolls of filament.
Yeah, I did a quick video where we went over.
It was really quick because he drunk 2 cans of Monster shortly before starting.
Yeah, I look like a crack fox the whole time that I'm doing it.
Yeah,
it was not. That wasn't a good look. I was really I looked like I had the heroin itch just the whole time going around, going, "Oh, this is really good filament." Just staring at all their different models and stuff.
So Callum just asked how hard is it to do skin tones. If you have a look about 4 videos back from what we're on at the minute, I actually did a tutorial on doing skin tones. A quick and easy way of doing skin tones, to be honest. But yeah, if you have a look back, it's about 4 videos back, I think. And that will show you exactly how I do skin tones on my models.
I did not do what I was supposed to do, which was share my screen. So bear with me 1 second.
Oh, yeah, Marissa, 3D filer print. 3D filer print have a lot of stock. A lot of stock. They put a picture up a couple of days ago where they had a delivery of was it filamentum?
Yeah, I think so.
And that was 4 pallets, and each pallet was like 8 feet tall. So yeah, they have a crazy amount of stock.
So I was meant to press this whilst it was on the live stream. I thought it was already on it when I pressed it. It wasn't. It did make a cool little noise. You don't hear it. But Richard Pryor. So Richard, if you just want to, okay, that's a good point. If you go to our about page, in fact, don't do that. I'll just post it in.
Congrats, Richard.
Richard Pryor, you have won the £100 voucher with 3D filler print. I will grab you the email address. You can email us at that, so you don't have to put all your personal details up on YouTube because that would suck. So I will grab you the here we go. Richard, you get the £100 voucher from 3D filler print. So, as I say, email that email address, and we will pass you through the voucher code. That will let you go onto their website. You can add everything to your basket. I'm still streaming my screen. Well done, me. Just so professional. It must shock you guys how professional
you got to learn. Got to learn somewhere.
I also like the way none of you mentioned it. That was really cool. Just no one sort of went, nah.
So, Chris, Ticky, for gluing my models together, I use Mitre Bond. So it's an activator and a glue. Buy them together. These are from Amazon. I get mine. But they are an instant bond. Once they're stuck, they're stuck. So make sure you get it right first time you do it, because you don't get a second chance.
And here's what I use in America: 2P10 an activator.
So the only thing I would stipulate about ours, I don't know how yours is, Jerry. You can view this as a plus or as a minus. It depends on what you're doing with your models. After a time, the glue joints do become quite brittle.
Yeah.
Which means if you drop your model, it will almost always break right along the seam wherever you glued it.
Yes.
So if you don't want that, then using like a 2-part epoxy or using even leftover resin and curing that,
or gloop or something, it melts it together.
Or gloop, and that almost chemically bonds it together. It basically, as the 2 parts mix, they heat. Matthias, yes, we will do the next lot of prizes in a minute. I will actually share my screen properly, and maybe I'll end up doing it correctly. Who knows? It'll be a fun experiment for us.
Richard Pryor says he's never won before. Well, it's all uphill from here, Richard. You're going to win more and more and more and more. It's just going to be all uphill. It took me almost 4 years to win something online, and like bam, 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 I won 3 or 4 times in a row. It's like, this is so cool. Yeah.
And the 3D filer print is such a good prize because there's literally not a filament that exists that they haven't got in stock.
Yeah, they've got higher end filaments as well. So if you want to try out, say, any carbon fiber filaments or any conductives, they've got a really cool ABS and ASA X, which have all the chemical properties of regular ASA and ABS, but they have no warp, they have no fumes, and you don't need to print with an enclosure. So definitely a chance to check some of those out if you want to. They've got crazy amounts of colors and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, so as I was saying, you are right. So Marissa pointed out that if it breaks along the seam, it's easier to glue back together. You're right, it is. But unfortunately, what you do have in that key or in that joint is normally a bunch of cured, hardened glue that you have to then clean out to then be able to fit things back together perfectly. But yeah, it really depends on what you're trying to do. If you've got models,
what you
better for it to break on the key. I have done, yeah. There's been numerous times. I had a Iron Man that was on the wall, but it was blasting out of the wall. I think it was actually Sanix's model, one of Sanix's Iron Man.
It was.
And I'd sort of cantilevered it on the wall because I'm not an engineer, so I had complete confidence in my ability to do that effectively. And about 2 weeks after lockdown, it dove off the wall and committed suicide on my floor. So that just went in the bin. That was the first casualty of COVID in this house.
As well. Also smashed into the printer.
It smashed into my printer. I ruined the print that was on. So it wasn't just satisfied with ruining itself. It wanted to ruin future prints. That was really fun. That was a really crap day. Coming down, I got halfway down my garden. I could hear a beep, like a really high-pitched beep. And I was like, oh, that's not going to be a cool noise, is it? That's not going to be a I'm finished beep. That's going to be a I've caught fire beep. So I came in. It had ripped the cable. So the sidewinders have got ribbon cables that go into their hot ends. I had ripped that clean out. It had jammed one of the hands had split off and jammed itself right in one of the belts of the sidewinder as well. So that was all mashed up like a horrible workplace accident. The base was all over the floor, and yeah, that was a really bad day. But
I laughed.
It was, Mike laughed a lot actually. So the second I called him, I said something terrible's happened, and he was already giggling at that point. He didn't even know it was 3D printing related. Like,
you could have broke out your cell phone. You could have made a video about it, about the cleanup.
Just me sobbing for 25 minutes.
People would watch it. It'd get views. People watch anything. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, if anything,
it was a very sad day.
Both of us find new and inventive ways to break printers.
I have broken every single machine I've ever owned. Every machine I've ever owned.
Yeah.
So some of them in really big ways. I almost set fire to a CR10. I thought I knew how to install Clipper, but I didn't. So I didn't add thermal runaway or anything like that. I put a really big PETS fan on it, but I hadn't. I decided to glue that on because my bolt lines didn't line up. So as the hot end heated up, obviously the glue just died, and the PETS fan then got sucked into the print, which then also got sucked into the hot end, and the cooling fan that was on it also ripped out, and the 2 wires for the thing just started touching the frame of the printer, and that shorted the fan out, and I came down.
James, go to private chat.
Oh, okay, go on.
Gentlemen,
yeah, no worries, man. Sorry.
Dad duty is calling and stuff. So, gentlemen,
No dramas.
congratulations on the subscribers.
Thank you very much for coming on.
I say you're gonna hit probably 2,000 by the end of the month. So,
fingers crossed.
In. Remember to like and subscribe, Honey Badger. Have
3D Maker Hub. Thank you very much. Take care, Daniel.
Cheers, guys.
See you later.
So we didn't get to talk about it while Daniel was on, but in a minute I will do the next. So I'm going to do the next. I'm going to do the next giveaway first, and then once I've done that, we will we'll quickly have a chat about the global 3D print project. So we go back to the random name picker,
and this is for 3 rolls of T-Tek filament.
No, this is for the free model with Sanix. That's the second prize.
Okay.
I'm going to hold on. I'm going to add this to the stream first. Right. So just so we're all clear, everybody can see the wheel now. And I now press the wheel. I swear, if Richard wins again.
Awesome.
Marissa Silva. So Marissa Silva.
Click remove name, and then they won't be in it again.
Oh, okay. Remove name. There we go. Right. So that is the second prize. Marissa Silva, you win, and you win the free model with Sanix.
Awesome.
So all you need to do is email us on that email address, and we will reach out to you, and we will get you your voucher code. You can pick any model that Sanix has done, except for the models that are on the last month. There's the last month. The newest ones are for his Patreon subscribers only. But he's got a huge back catalogue. You're not going to be, you're not going to be bereft of models to look at. So after that, we've still got 3 more prizes to give away, guys. We've got 3 rolls of filament from T-Tek. We've got 3 rolls of filament from 3D Filaments UK, and we've got a 20% off Gambody voucher as well. So we've still got plenty of prizes to win.
Is everything worldwide, or is it region specific?
It's supposed to be region specific, but because you guys are supporting us, if you guys win the 3 rolls of filament and you're in the US, then we'll cover the shipping. Because we're just really appreciative that you guys have helped us to get to the point that we're at. It's been we've really started to try and create content that you guys wanted to see.
You should have said Michael's going to cover it. He's been kind of quiet. He might not have heard you.
Yeah, no.
Just to be clear, Michael will be covering it.
Yeah. I've actually organised a donkey, so it may take 6 months, but it will get to that.
Yeah.
We're currently trying to take the donkey to swim.
But once we've got that, it'll be right there.
It's all good.
Yeah. So wanted to take a quick moment to talk about the global 3D print project. So this is something that we've been doing in conjunction with 3D Makers Hub and a guy called Kieran as well. We are going to break the Guinness. Sorry, go on.
You might have seen us talking about it on Jerry's channel before.
Yeah, we have mentioned it a couple of times. So the global 3D print project is we are going to break the world record for the biggest 3D printed structure. The biggest 3D printed statue. It's going to be of a nurse, and it's going to be to commemorate all frontline and care workers who have supported people throughout the COVID crisis. So once we have printed it and we've got the world record, it will then be going on a tour of Ireland to begin with, and then the British Museum have expressed interest in displaying the piece as well. So it's a really, really cool project, guys, and it's honestly it's such a worthy cause. We've had so many people have stories of how COVID has affected them or affected their family. There'll also be a chance for everybody else to get involved. So the base of the statue is going to be made up entirely of lithophanes that you guys print and then send through to the guys over in Ireland, so that whenever that model is on display, they can turn on a backlight and everybody's lithophanes that they've submitted on all 4 sides will all light up and showcase that. And that'll be things like frontline care workers that you know. That will be hospitals and care things and all
Print
of
one
that
like
really
this
cool
and
stuff.
send it.
Yeah, you could do one of you. Whether or not you'll make it in, difficult to say, but it's always worth a shot.
Well, the beard's coming out. I need to get on Amazon, order me a hat, and then during the summer I can have a giveaway stream where I got my Santa hat on, going ho ho ho.
Well, by Christmas it should be just the right length.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to grow it out long. I'll keep it fairly close to my face.
As you can see here, all the barbers are shut.
Yeah. So we're still in. I don't know how you are, Jerry. Whether you guys are still in lockdown.
No,
but,
no, there's no lockdown other than just be safe, wear your mask, stuff like that.
Yeah. So we're still in full lockdown.
Every day slowly turning a little bit more into Grizzly Adams.
Yeah, I used to love that show. I used to love Grizzly Adams. And Ben, his bear. I think his bear's name was Ben, right?
Yeah, my bear's name is my wife, and she's called Lauren.
Oh.
Bold choice.
Model comes flying across the room.
You've seen how angry she gets, James.
Oh yeah, she is a very angry
grizzly
person.
bear's got nothing on her.
No. She's super. She's angry all the time.
Yeah.
Probably angrier than she should be, but really, really angry and violent.
To be honest, I think it's me.
I think it's not. I think it's you as well. I didn't for a while, but I do think it's you for sure. Right, a couple of people have just pointed out in the chat that they're not, that they don't want their full name put up. So what I'll do is I'll run the name picker, because there's like 2 or 3 Chris's, there's a couple of Richards and things like that.
Copy and paste your YouTube name. Don't copy and paste their real name. Yeah,
unfortunately, not everyone's put down their YouTube names, so we'll miss out a couple of people. But it's okay. It's not a problem. What I'll do is I'll run the selector thing off screen. And then I'll let you guys know who the winner is.
A couple days before I done my giveaway last night, I've never used that program that everybody's using before, the Wheel of Names and the Google Doc. I went and figured it all out behind the scenes. I sent my wife a link on her phone. I said, "Here, fill this out. I'm going to go on my screen in here and see if it pops up, so I can figure out how to do it before I actually do it live."
Yeah, no, I should have done that. We didn't do that. We didn't do any of that. That wasn't us. Chris, I have added your name on, so don't worry. You are in the mix now, so you should be all right.
Non-fam, how you doing?
So okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do the next giveaway prize. So the next giveaway prize is 3 rolls of filament from T-Tek. So let's roll the screen. There we go. Stop sharing. There we go. Right. Okay, cool. Okay. So the winner is Derek Matthews.
Congrats, Derek. You didn't have the screen.
Well done.
Derek Matthews, you have won the 3 rolls of filament from T-Tek. So once again, all you need to do is pop an email through to the Honey Badger through to the Honey Badger one, and you have won the 3 rolls of filament from T-Tek. So well done there, guys.
That's good filament as well.
Yeah, so he does some really nice stuff on the site, and
really
good. We'll get him to send it straight out to you. All we'll need from you when you send through, just send through your whatever address you want us to send it to, whether that's your personal address or your business address, whatever you want. And we will definitely get that out to you as soon as possible. So let's roll. So let's get his name out now, so that we don't end up sending him 6 rolls, because that would be received poorly. Well, fantastically by him, but
yes, yeah.
And Marissa. So let's go straight on as well to the 3 rolls of filament from 3D Filaments UK. So they are a smaller independent manufacturer. There's something that we use quite a lot for various different models. Do good filament. You know, it's one brand, but they do some really nice stuff. is certainly stuff that I use. So actually, all the stuff that I used on Iron Man was all of the 3D Filaments UK filament.
So was Treebeard.
And so was Treebeard, yeah. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff.
And some of the Warwick as well.
So into the name generator, off we go. And Carl Fenton. So Carl Fenton, you have just won.
Well done.
3 rolls of filament from 3D Filaments UK. So again, just pop your email. So the email address is going up again, just for yourself, Carl. So if you want to send your email address and everything through to us and your regular address, we'll get those 3 rolls of filament from 3D Filaments UK out to you as soon as possible.
And if everybody isn't subscribed, please
list as well, Callum.
Mr. Stewart, yes, I can get your name added, Callum. That's not a problem.
Everybody, please like, subscribe, ring that bell to be notified the next time they go live or post a video. And hit the thumbs up. These guys are great, and they're only going to get better as time goes on.
Thank you very much. Just because we also are buying a lot of trash, we're also sending out free stickers. Cool. Jerry, yours are already in the post, so that you can slap them onto your. Although I think you're running out of space on your Perspex cube, aren't you?
Well, I got plenty of room.
You've got plenty of room. That's good. So we'll be sending some stickers out to Jerry as well, guys. I can't suggest enough that you go over and like and subscribe to Jerry's channel as well. Jerry has weekly hangouts as well as special guest videos as well. He's had. I mean, you've had some big people on. You've had Nico on from Nico Industries. You've had Joel. Yeah, Joel. You've had Michael Bedelli, Sam Prentice from The Droid, Michael Bedelli. The recent video, definitely go and check it out. So for anyone who hasn't seen it already, Michael Bedelli and Sam Prentice were both on a live stream with on Jerry's latest live stream. It's a super interesting live stream. So Sam Prentice does a lot of printing for Star Wars. He does a lot of droid printing, and he's actually had some droids that have had screen time, as well as being part of a UK group of droid builders. It was a really, really interesting one. Mr. Bedelli is the one who does screen accurate, hugely detailed droids and STL files. I mean, Jerry, you can attest to how interesting he is as a person. But
there's something coming up with Tripod's Garage, Sam and me. Something where we might be doing a video series, maybe where we're building all the same thing or something. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do yet. I have to find out more about it, but that'll be interesting. So there'll be some more content. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're coming out. You have at least 1 video a week, if not 2 or 3, generally, with your hangouts and everything else, don't you? Yeah. Quite a lot of content. I try to do something. Every time I get something in the mail, it's like, hey, I can do a video on this. I really liked. So you did you got your big resin printer recently, didn't you? Yeah. I really liked that. So that was really interesting. I printed on the Mars for a couple of years now, and I've only had like 2 failed prints on the Mars out of hundreds of prints that I've done on that. Little models and things. But on this big one, I got the 4K resin that came with it, and all my models were ripping apart. And they're pulling off the supports. Nothing was coming off the build platform, but I was losing supports, and the model was sliced. So I started hauling them thicker than I did on the Mars. There's a lot more suction force, so it's totally different than the Elegoo Mars. So now I have to make things thicker, and the penetration depth on the support has to be. I increased that by 5, and then I don't know. It's just different quirky little issues. And then I got it working perfect, and I printed some Bernies. Like, wow, I'm going to do a video explaining how it all of a sudden got better and it fixed itself.
And it failed.
It's like it, yeah. And then the feet failed. It's like, what's going on? So I resliced it. I added a bunch of supports on the feet, and then it came out fine. So at some point I'll do another updated video. But it's almost like the car when it was new, it wasn't broke in. It's like you get a new car and you got to break it in, and it just all of a sudden got better, and then I had some problems. And then Lychee Slicer, I hear, is really good. I watched some videos on it. I downloaded it, but I haven't tinkered with it yet. I like Cheetahbox, and I'm real familiar with it. It's kind of like I've always used S3D, and now I go to try Cura. It's like I don't know if I really want to tinker with it. But, there's always alternatives out there for different reasons, depending on what you're doing. So it's good to have multiple programs. And then you have time, experiment with different things. You never know what you might like or what works better for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I found it was a real... It was very difficult for me to start resin printing. We've both got Anycubic photons, which are fine and a decent entry level. I had a bigger 8.9 inch, or sorry, a 10.1 inch even. I bought a TN4 T200.
10.1 inch? Wow, I wish I had that.
Honestly, you don't. It's trash. Absolute trash. Easily
never worked from day one.
I've had four resin prints out of it since I got it. Everything that went wrong with it, TN4 refused to support anything at all. So everything that I needed for it, I had to buy out of pocket. It wasn't a cheap machine. It was about £1,000 to buy. This was, so I got the printer probably about two years ago, I think.
I wasn't talking about resin printing. I was being sarcastic.
Oh, right. and yeah, it was absolute trash. Absolute trash. At the moment, I'm actually rebuilding it into a generic nano DLP machine. And luckily, I'm getting a fair amount of support from the nano DLP community because nano DLP is open source. And, it's one of these things that that a lot of different people know a lot about. But I got zero support from TN4. I got zero support for the printer. And it's never worked, not properly, ever since I've had it. Really, really terrible. And it's a shame because 10.1 inches is a super useful size of machine for the types of prints that I'm doing. But you
can go on our channel. You can see the scathing video. There's an unboxing video where he's all full of promise and it's great,
full of hope.
And then about 3 months later, there's another video where he wasn't so keen.
Yeah.
On the LU Mars, when I printed with that, the little black spatula that comes with it, you can run it through the bed on 3 passes sideways, and you can feel if there's any debris in the bed. And if your model came out great, you kind of run the spatula through it. If you don't feel nothing, I would not dump the vat. I would just keep adding resin and keep printing. But one time I was doing a speed buggy by David Chambers, and I lost a headlight, and I forgot about it, and it was in the vat. When I started the next print, it came down crunch. The stepper's grinding. I didn't break the screen. I did cut the FEP. And so I check it real good. But on the bigger resin printer, every single time I must drain the resin, scrape it, because any tiny little debris, that's a big screen. And even when it's completely clean, when it comes down the first time, it crunches. It's like, oh, God, did I just break something? That's just the sound it makes.
Yeah.
But every time I'm dumping it because you have to, because there could be any little thing in there. And that FEP and the screen that big, you don't want to break it and then be out a ton of money. So the Mars, like I say, I don't check it. I can scrape for it. But it's so little, but the big one I have to dump it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just not good. It's such a different mindset, and it's sort of because you're printing a model basically upside down every time, and getting used to Chitu box. I just never did because I didn't have to because I used the photon slicer.
I enjoy FDM printing. I don't get the same enjoyment out of resin printing. I don't know why. It's just I just prefer printing FDM. I enjoy it more.
Marissa's question, what I would say to that would be I don't have it. I got the Frozen Sonic Mighty 4K. I would say buy the Mini 4K. They're reasonable on Amazon. You got great print quality, and they're awesome machines. I don't have one, but I have an LU Mars, which isn't a 4K screen. But, yeah, I'd say, Marissa, get a Frozen Sonic Mini 4K.
Yeah, if I was buying a resin printer now, I would try to go for one that was a mono screen. So something like the what's the new one? It's the Anycubic Mono X, I think it is. That's an 8.9 inch. It's not a horrendous price for what you get. It's a decent size of machine, and a mono screen will last considerably longer than a Technicolor screen. So all the other screens are just regular colored screens. A monochrome screen works much better and has a much longer life. Your models actually come out sharper on a monochrome screen as well. The screen that I'm putting into the TN4 is actually a 5K monochrome 10.1 inch, which was super hard to find. I had to source it with an Alibaba company. It was a nightmare to try and find it. But anyway, so I'd have a look at the Mono X. If not, then any of the Elegoo's are really, really nice machines. I've always had. I've got two. So down the shop, they've got 3 of the Mars. They've got 3 of the Marses and 2 of the Saturns, I think. Yeah, and they love them.
Yeah, you can join different Facebook groups and see what people are saying about the different printers. But typically, whenever I buy anything on Amazon, I base everything I buy off of reviews. I read through the reviews. And if you got 20 of them that had problems and one guy said it was great, well, you probably have problems. But sometimes it's operator error. It's not always the machine. It's something somebody's doing wrong. But with a resin printer, it's really hard to start it up.
And the trouble with reviews sometimes is a lot of the time the only people who review are the ones who've had problems.
Yeah.
When someone gets it, sets it up and it prints, they don't think anything more about it. But when someone, usually user error, can't get it to print, they're on there straight away saying this don't work, it's trash.
Yeah. Marissa's talking about the Elegoo. The Elegoo Mars, the original one I had was great, but now there's 4K screens and stuff out there. And the newest one, and I forget what it's called, they're out of stock right now on Amazon. They're coming in, the Saturn, I believe. I wanted to buy a Saturn, but then I talked myself into buying the Frozen that I have now. But that got shipped from Taiwan or something. Came really fast, though.
See, that's the other issue we're having in the UK at the moment. So thanks to Brexit, shipping from an EU warehouse to here is now non-existent. So the issue that we're having is that when you need to order a printer, if you're buying on AliExpress, it now has to ship from China. And quite rightly, the Chinese companies are like, well, that's going to cost us a lot in shipping. They're heavy machines, and it's driving the price right up.
On my Mighty 4K, because I have my channel, I tried to get a deal when I contacted them and emailed them. Tried multiple emails, and I managed to get free shipping as the best I could do. I still had to pay $500. And no, I'm not big enough they're going to let me review when that didn't happen. So,
Callum, the Vox Labs. So again, Vox Lab is another one that sort of popped up in the wake of the Anycubic Photon. It's not really doing anything new. You know, it's a 2K screen. It's a regular, it's not monochrome. They're not doing anything different to anybody else. Not really, not materially. Then they're just sort of rebranding pretty much the same as the Elegoo Mars, or the same as the Photon, same as a lot of different machines. There's nothing about it that's probably going to be better or worse. It all comes down to price. I would challenge for the price they're charging, you could more than likely get an Anycubic Photon or an Elegoo Mars on Amazon for pretty much the same money, and they're all the same machines. You know, they're branded differently. They've sometimes got a different UI, but they're fundamentally the same. You know, they're not going to be. You're not getting anything that's particularly innovative or different.
Yeah, here in Las Vegas, we got 2 Amazon warehouses. That's awesome.
They're actually we've got a business park near us, and apparently they're turning that into an Amazon distribution center soon. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, when they had all that rioting and stuff going on in America last year over another thing going on, there was an Amazon warehouse back east that got burned to the ground. I'm thinking, why would you do that? I love Amazon. Everybody loves Amazon. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, but we have the same over here. So we still have people burning down 5G towers.
My wife goes, no, Jerry, I'm drinking one of her Cokes.
One of her Cokes?
Yeah, I buy, well, I don't know. We buy the groceries right now. Sometimes I buy everything, but anyway.
So just to be clear, you're staying on this live stream as long as possible because you know she won't kill you live on YouTube.
Yeah. No, I'm all right. I kind of wait on her hand and foot. I'm a good husband, I guess.
Not a great husband. They don't steal their Cokes.
Yeah. So I cook, do dishes. I clean toilets. I do everything.
So what's the we got one more prize to give away?
We have indeed. So we've got one more prize to give away. So the prize we have left is the Gambody 20% off voucher, which I actually spoke to Gambody the other day, and I think it's now turned to a 35% voucher. So Gambody is a bit like Colts 3D. They're actually a model marketplace. So unlike Sanix's website is just the models that he produces. Gambody is a site where they actually post other artists' work, and then it's a marketplace where they sell them. They do fantastic models, so their models scale absolutely brilliantly. So they do a lot of error checking as well. So they test print everything. They make sure
very rare to get any error on a Gambody model.
Yeah, and if you do, you can go straight back to Gambody. And I've seen them inside of 2 hours of getting feedback. They have reposted a fixed model or a modified model that you can then re-download and get the new part for. So they're a really, really good page. They've got a load of good stuff. So
she's typing on her phone. She's not hick where it says his a wonderful husband. She just hit the wrong buttons.
Right. So let's do the wheel on that one. Florette Dubois, which I'm going to go out on a limb and say is France.
Congrats.
And if it isn't, I apologize. No, you can't. Well, actually, yes, I think you can buy a Gambody model printed. But yeah, we've worked with. So Florette Dubois is actually someone we've worked with before on Instagram. We printed a mage model, and then we sent it to France, and they painted it, and oh my god, it is such a good job, like such a good job. I'm pretty sure that we can that Gambody do also offer. There is a 3D printing service where you can get their stuff done, but we'll have a conversation about that. So just pop us. We've got you on Instagram, Flo. So just send us over a message, and we'll sort out getting you your code and everything, so you can pick your model. Good man. Okay, so that is all the prizes, guys and dolls. Thank you so much for joining us and sticking with us for the hour and a half we've been on live stream. Jerry, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate that it's you've probably got other stuff to do, and well, no doubt. Thank you very much. Thank you for helping us get to this number. So we did see an uptick in subscribers once we started joining Jerry's stream and we started interacting with the community. And it's really good to be able to go on streams with other content makers and other sort of creators.
Now that you meet other people face to face, which
now that you got StreamYard up and running
up all the time, but you actually get to meet people face to face.
Now you got StreamYard up and running. You guys can practice not going live. Just send each other the link and experiment with different things that work or don't work. And then, before you ever go live, you can tinker around.
Absolutely. And we definitely need to figure out a better way to do competitions, because that sucked. But people won, so that's what matters. So anyone who won, please make sure you send us an email. We'll get back to you today, hopefully. And we'll get addresses and everything, and then we'll start getting things in the post. So thank you very much, guys and dolls. Anybody who's been on the live stream who wants one of our stickers, then feel free to drop us an email. The email's in the chat guide. I will put it up one more time for anybody else who wants it. You want one? Yeah. Well, you should have thought of that before I got them. So there's the Michael. If you just email the Honey Badger channel, then we'll see whether or not we can get to you. But I'm happy to drop one of these free in the post for anybody who wants one. So just drop us an email on. Cool, they've got like a little badger logo on and stuff. It's a badger making a badger. So anyone who wants a sticker, feel free to drop us an email, and we'll do our best to get those out to you this week as well. So thanks for joining, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Have a great day, and try not to have any more failed prints today, guys. See you later.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.